Women over 50, listen carefully because what you're about to hear may completely change how you understand your skin. If you've been applying castor oil night after night, hoping it will smooth wrinkles, restore firmness, or bring back lost collagen, and yet nothing truly changes, the problem is not the oil itself. The real issue is that you've been using only half of a process that was never designed to work in isolation. What you are experiencing is not failure, and it is not simply aging taking over. It is something far more specific, collagen that is still present but inactive, almost asleep beneath the surface. And the surprising truth is that the solution may already exist in your home, but it has not been fully activated yet. My name is Dr. William Lee, a board certified obstetrician and gynecologist with more than 15 years of experience studying how hormones, skin biology, and collagen behavior change after 50. And what I have consistently observed is this collagen does not simply disappear with age. Instead, it becomes quiet. It stops responding the way it used to. The structure is still there, but the communication system that keeps it active begins to slow down. That is why many women continue their skincare routines with dedication, using oils and creams faithfully, yet still notice that their skin only feels slightly softer, not firmer, not brighter, and not truly renewed. The effort is not the problem. The missing piece is activation. After the age of 50, several biological changes begin to occur beneath the skin. Blood flow naturally slows down. Fibroblast cells, the very cells responsible for producing collagen and elastin, receive weaker signals, and the internal repair system becomes less responsive. This means that even if moisture is applied daily, the deeper mechanisms responsible for rebuilding skin structure are no longer fully awake. Oils and creams can sit comfortably on the surface, reducing dryness and improving softness, but without internal activation, they cannot rebuild what is slowed down beneath. This is where most skincare routines fall short. They focus heavily on hydration and surface improvement, which is important but incomplete because hydration alone does not restart cellular activity. It does not reawaken fibroblasts. It does not restore collagen production. It simply improves how the skin feels temporarily without changing its deeper structure. Castor oil, for example, is often praised for its thick, nourishing texture. Many women describe an immediate sense of relief when applying it. Skin feels smoother, more comfortable, and lightly moisturized, and this effect is real. But what is often misunderstood is its limitation. Castor oil is primarily an occlusive and emollient substance, meaning it helps lock moisture into the skin and soften the outer layer. That is why it feels so soothing on mature skin, especially when dryness becomes more noticeable after 50. However, while it improves surface hydration, it does not reach deep enough to influence fibroblast activity. It does not send signals to the cells responsible for rebuilding collagen. It does not improve oxygen flow or cellular energy at the level where structural change happens. In simple terms, it comforts the skin, but it does not activate it. And this distinction is crucial because when women do not see the results they expect, they often assume the product is ineffective. But in reality, it is not about effectiveness alone, it is about function. Castor oil is working, just not at the biological depth required for visible transformation. As skin ages, especially after menopause, estrogen levels decline. This leads to narrower blood vessels in the skin's deeper layers, reduced oxygen delivery, and slower nutrient transport. Fibroblast cells, which depend on this oxygen and nutrient flow to produce collagen, gradually become less active. It is not that they disappear, it is that their environment becomes less supportive. Think of it like a garden. If the soil becomes dry and inactive, even the best seeds will struggle to grow. Not because the seeds are broken, but because the environment is no longer alive enough to support growth. This is exactly what happens in mature skin. The foundation for repair is still present, but it is no longer fully functioning. So when castor oil is applied alone, it can soften the surface, but it cannot change what is happening underneath. Fibroblasts remain quiet. Collagen fibers stay unorganized. And the skin, while temporarily more comfortable, remains structurally unchanged. That is why many women describe their results in the same way: softer skin, but still sagging, moisturized skin, but not renewed. Yet this is not a story of limitation, it is a story of incompleteness because castor oil is not the final solution. It is only the beginning of a process that requires one more critical element to fully activate what has slowed down beneath the skin, and that is where the deeper biological explanation begins. The real reason collagen declines after 50 is not as simple as aging skin, even though that is what most people assume. In reality, collagen does not just fade away or vanish from the body. It remains present in the skin structure, but its ability to function properly becomes weakened. The system that once kept it active, nourished, and constantly renewing begins to slow down. So instead of thinking of this as a loss of collagen, it is more accurate to understand it as a loss of support for collagen activity. Most women are never told this clearly. They are led to believe that wrinkles, sagging, and thinning skin are unavoidable consequences of age, something permanent that simply cannot be reversed beyond surface level care. But when we look deeper into skin biology, the truth becomes more encouraging. Collagen is not disappearing, it is becoming understimulated. It is not receiving the same level of oxygen, nutrients, and cellular communication that it once did. To understand this properly, we need to go beneath the surface of the skin, where the real processes of repair and renewal take place. After menopause, estrogen levels decline significantly. This hormonal shift triggers a chain reaction inside the body, especially in the skin. Blood vessels that once delivered oxygen efficiently begin to narrow. Capillaries lose some of their flexibility. Circulation slows down. As a result, oxygen delivery to the skin becomes weaker and less consistent. This is extremely important because oxygen is not just a supportive element for the skin, it is essential fuel. Fibroblast cells rely on oxygen to produce collagen fibers. Without enough oxygen, their activity naturally slows, not because they are damaged, but because they are under resourced. The environment they depend on is no longer as strong as it used to be. So when women continue applying moisturizers, serums, or oils, they may still see temporary softness or hydration on the surface. But deeper improvement does not occur because the real issue is not on the outside, it is inside the skin's microenvironment. If oxygen and circulation are reduced, fibroblasts cannot perform at full capacity, no matter how many products are applied externally. This is why healthy skin is not just about hydration, it is about oxygenation. Hydration can improve how the skin feels, but oxygen determines how the skin behaves at a cellular level. Without proper oxygen flow, fibroblasts remain in a low activity state. They do not respond strongly to topical products because the internal signal required for repair is weak. Many women unknowingly experience this and misinterpret it. They notice their skin looking dull even after moisturizing, or feeling cold, flat, or less vibrant than before. Some even observe slower healing from small marks or bruises. These are not random changes, they are subtle signs that microcirculation beneath the skin has decreased. Reduced microcirculation is one of the most overlooked factors in mature skin. It affects how nutrients are delivered, how waste is removed, and how efficiently cells communicate. When blood flow slows, the skin is no longer receiving what it needs to maintain its natural repair cycle. Collagen production becomes inconsistent, not because the body has stopped producing it, but because the conditions required for production are not fully active. It is important to understand this distinction. Aging does not switch off collagen. Instead, it reduces the efficiency of the system that supports it. That is why some women notice their skin feeling colder than before or appearing less radiant even when they are using good skincare products. The surface may be cared for, but the deeper flow beneath it is not as strong as it once was. And here is something most women are never told clearly. These subtle signs are communication signals from the skin. Cold hands or cheeks, slower skin healing, or a flat complexion are not just cosmetic concerns. They are indicators that microcirculation is not delivering enough oxygen to sustain optimal repair. When this internal environment becomes weak, collagen does not rebuild efficiently, not because the skin is too old, but because it is undernourished at a cellular level. And when nourishment is reduced, repair naturally slows down. However, this is not a permanent state. The skin remains capable of renewal if the environment beneath it is improved. When circulation is restored, even partially, oxygen levels rise again. Fibroblasts begin to respond more actively. The skin starts to feel slightly warmer, more alive, and more responsive to treatment. This is the foundation of true regeneration, not forcing collagen, but restoring the conditions that allow it to rebuild naturally. But circulation alone is still not the complete answer because even when blood flow improves, fibroblasts still require a second trigger, something that signals them to shift from inactivity into repair mode. Without this signal, improvement remains limited. And that missing trigger is not found in hydration alone. It comes from a specific type of biological stimulation that most skincare routines completely overlook. Rosemary oil is where the missing piece of this entire process begins to reveal itself. For many years, castor oil has been used as a comforting skincare remedy, especially for mature skin that struggles with dryness and loss of softness. It creates an immediate sense of relief on the surface, which is why so many women continue using it consistently. But over time, a common experience appears. The skin feels better, but it does not truly transform. The deeper firmness, the structural renewal, and the visible lifting effect often remain absent. That is not because the routine is wrong, but because it is incomplete. Castor oil, by its nature, is mainly supportive. It works as a barrier forming and moisture retaining oil, meaning it helps the skin hold hydration and reduce dryness. This is valuable, especially after 50, when the skin becomes thinner and more fragile. However, it operates mostly at the surface level. It does not actively communicate with fibroblast cells, nor does it influence the deeper biological processes responsible for collagen production. It prepares the skin, but it does not awaken it. Rosemary oil, on the other hand, functions in a completely different way. It is not just a fragrant essential oil used for relaxation or aroma, it is biologically active. Its natural compounds, including rosmarinic acid, carnosic acid, and cineol, interact with the skin in a way that influences circulation and cellular activity. These compounds help improve microcirculation, which is the slow movement of blood through the smallest vessels in the skin. And this detail is critical because microcirculation determines how much oxygen and nourishment actually reaches fibroblast cells. After 50, due to hormonal changes and reduced estrogen levels, the skin's microvascular system becomes less responsive, blood vessels lose some flexibility, and oxygen delivery slows down. Fibroblast cells, which depend heavily on oxygen and nutrient supply, begin to function at a lower level. They do not stop working, but their activity becomes reduced, almost as if they are in a dormant state. This is where rosemary oil plays a unique role. Unlike castor oil, which stays closer to the surface and mainly locks in moisture, rosemary oil works deeper by encouraging movement beneath the skin. It gently stimulates circulation, increasing warmth and encouraging blood flow in areas where activity has slowed. This improved flow helps oxygen and nutrients reach fibroblast cells more effectively, giving them the support they need to become active again. This is the key difference between comfort and activation. Castor oil provides comfort, rosemary oil encourages activation. And when activation begins, fibroblast cells can transition from a passive state into a more responsive, repair oriented state. That is when collagen production can gradually increase. Again, not artificially, but biologically. Several studies have explored rosemary extract and its effects on skin circulation and cellular behavior. One observation noted that rosemary compounds improved microcirculation significantly in mature skin, especially in areas where dryness and thinning were more noticeable. Another study found that when used with a carrier oil, rosemary extract supported fibroblast activity and contributed to improved collagen density over time. These results do not suggest instant transformation, but rather gradual biological improvement through consistent support. This is important because many skincare expectations are based on fast visual results. But collagen renewal does not happen instantly. It follows the body's natural repair cycle. When circulation improves, oxygen delivery increases, and fibroblasts receive the signal and resources they need to begin rebuilding. Over time, this leads to skin that feels more responsive, slightly warmer, more elastic, and more naturally supported. Women often describe this stage not as a dramatic change, but as a feeling of the skin waking up. The texture feels smoother, not just moisturized. The tone looks more even, not artificially brightened. And most importantly, the skin begins to feel like it is functioning again rather than simply being maintained. This is where rosemary oil shows its true role. It does not replace castor oil, it completes it. Castor oil holds moisture in place, while rosemary oil activates the internal environment that allows renewal to begin. One supports structure from the outside, the other stimulates activity from the inside. And when both are present together, the skin no longer remains in a passive state. Instead, it begins to respond more intelligently to care. Circulation improves, oxygen flow increases, and fibroblasts slowly return to activity. This is not cosmetic enhancement, it is biological reactivation. But even when this combination is understood, there is still one more crucial factor that determines whether this process actually works effectively in real life. Because even the right oils, used correctly, will not produce full results unless they are applied at the exact moment when the body is naturally prepared for repair. Even when the correct oils are chosen and the skin is biologically ready to respond, there is still one factor that decides whether real transformation happens or not, and that factor is timing. This is something most skincare advice completely ignores, yet it is one of the most important elements in how the skin repairs itself after 50. Because collagen production is not constant throughout the day, it follows a very specific biological rhythm that is controlled by the body's internal repair system. At night, the body does something fundamentally different compared to the daytime. During the day, the skin is focused on protection. It defends against UV exposure, pollution, stress, and environmental damage. Blood flow is directed toward protection and stability rather than deep repair. This means that even if active ingredients are applied in the morning, the skin's priority is not regeneration, it is defense. But at night, the entire system shifts. As the body prepares for sleep, melatonin levels begin to rise. This hormone does more than regulate sleep, it signals the body to enter a repair state. At the same time, growth hormone is released in pulses, which supports cellular renewal, tissue repair, and collagen synthesis. This is the window where fibroblast activity becomes naturally more responsive, not forced, not stimulated artificially, but biologically prepared. This period, usually between around 10 p.m. and 2 a.m., is often referred to as the body's repair window. During this time, circulation changes, metabolic activity adjusts, and the skin becomes more receptive to regeneration. Blood flow shifts in a way that supports nutrient delivery, oxygen transport improves, and the environment inside the skin becomes more favorable for rebuilding collagen structures. This is why the same skincare routine can produce very different results depending on when it is used. Applying oils during the day may improve softness and hydration, but applying them at night aligns them with the body's natural repair cycle. This alignment is what allows deeper biological processes to actually take place. When castor oil and rosemary oil are applied together before sleep, their effects are no longer just surface level. Castor oil helps maintain hydration and prevents overnight moisture loss, while rosemary oil supports improved circulation and oxygen delivery right as the body enters its repair state. This combination means that fibroblast cells are not only receiving moisture support, but also improved internal conditions for activation at the exact time they are most responsive. Even the timing of application matters. Applying the blend around 45 to 60 minutes before sleep allows it to absorb gradually into the skin. This gives the oils time to settle into the outer layers, gently increasing warmth and circulation before the body fully transitions into deep sleep. By the time melatonin and growth hormone reach their peak activity, the skin is already in a prepared state, hydrated, supported, and ready for repair. This is where the difference between daytime care and nighttime repair becomes clear. Daytime routines maintain appearance, nighttime routines influence regeneration. One supports how the skin looks in the moment, while the other supports how the skin changes over time. Over the long term, this timing alignment is what allows fibroblasts to gradually shift from inactivity back into a more productive state. As circulation improves and oxygen delivery becomes more efficient during the night, collagen fibers begin to rebuild more consistently. Not all at once, but slowly in alignment with the body's natural rhythm. This is why some women begin to notice subtle changes first rather than immediate dramatic results. The skin may feel slightly warmer in the morning, appear more rested, or show a softer texture. Over weeks, these small signals accumulate. Fine lines begin to soften, elasticity improves, and the skin starts to feel more responsive again. And this brings the entire process together. Castor oil provides structure and hydration support. Rosemary oil provides circulation and activation. Nighttime timing aligns everything with the body's natural repair cycle. When all three elements work together, the skin is no longer being forced to change. It is being supported to function as it was designed to. What many women realize at this stage is that their skin was never beyond repair. It was simply operating in a slowed state, waiting for the right conditions to return. Not stronger products, not aggressive treatments, but correct biological alignment. And when that alignment happens consistently, the transformation is not just visible, it is felt. The skin feels warmer, more alive, more connected to its natural rhythm. Not younger in appearance alone, but healthier in function. Because in the end, this is not about reversing age, it is about restoring communication within the skin. And once that communication returns, the skin begins to do what it has always been capable of doing: repairing, renewing, and responding from within.